We need to closely connect it to the vision of John in Revelation 12 also, because it is being mentioned there, the sun, the moon, and the stars. But take note on, but the 12 stars, it was not mentioned in the parable in Matthew 20. Wala may starring 12 stars sa Matthew 20. No, it's only the sun and the moon. So that is our goal, that we must, we need to find out that one thing proves another, or the term used here in track number 5, page 38. Let us read track number 5, page 38.
Track number 5, page 38. Going on now to understand the symbolism as it does basically defines itself. The student will see as he proceeds that its subject not only becomes clearer and clearer, one truth dealing with another, and all reinforcing the whole, but also that it holds as steering present truth listen.
So it says there, one truth must dovetailing with another. So we must they're really being closely connected. So did you get the catch? It's amazing to think that how our God, He designed the truth. Because if you notice in parable in Matthew 20, let us go to the chart in Matthew 20. Yeah, this one. So this parable here, the sunrise, it seems like it is like on the 4th day of the creation week, the very first sunrise. But this one, it's not literal sunrise, because the sun here in the 4th day of the creation week is represented here by the Bible. Ano ba? First, this is the only sunrise, because the time of the salvation in the whole human race, it is only being depicted by 24 hours. So, that is quite the same here, the very first sunrise. Now, because of the 7 days of the creation week, and it is being mentioned here that the sun, the moon, and the stars were not yet in existence in the first 3 days of the creation week. So that is why this one from Matthew 20, but in Matthew 20, there's no stars here. There are no stars here. Only the moon and the sun. But there's no stars mentioned, because the stars here, it is pointing to Revelation 12. Na kompleto gid siya, sun, moon, and the stars. So what binds Matthew 20, Revelation 6, verse 6, and Revelation 12 is the creation week. Dira ilang rendezvous ba, ilang meeting point. Now, why is it that they are being connected with each other? But not just that. Let us go back to the back part. Let us go back to the two equal parts. The nighttime and the 12 hours. Because here, according to what Brother Ronel have read, that one truth must dovetailing one another. And right now, we've already been trying to connect these three. One parable and the two visions. Why is it that it is connected to Revelation 12? So let us read here in 2SR page 141. So we're now going to go here in Revelation 12. Pero magbalik-balik na tana, kaya maglibot-libot naman ng truth.
2SR page 141. So the wings of the woman also must denote two great periods of church history.
Now, in Revelation 12, the woman there, aside from the woman, she has this the sun on her head, on top of her head, and she has crown of 12 stars and the moon beneath her feet. Aside from that the woman, according to the vision of John in Revelation 12, that there was a time that she was given wings of the great eagle. 2 wings. Oh, let us put here, Brother Bern. Here in Revelation 12, we need to focus on the part of the 2 wings. What kind of wings? Isa nga klaseng of wings? The woman, wings of the great eagle, flying eagle.
So the 2 wings of the flying eagle represents the 2 period of times. So
Great
period of times.
2 great period of times.
So the Matthew 20 also there are two great period of times history.
Right now, so let us connect here in same book in Shepherd's Rod Volume 2, page 237.
The reason he has followed that particular role is to present to his church the exact time of her history by periods.
Right. So we need to safely conclude that point number 1 is that the woman in Revelation 12, to go directly to the point, that is pointing to the 11th hour church or the 11th hour call in the parable of Matthew 20. Okay? So this woman here is represented by the church. That is the church being mentioned here in 2SR, by which it says that the reason why the he mentioned here is Jesus Christ, that he followed that particular rule. That rule is, let us put here, Brother Bern, the 3-hour schedule rule. Because the purpose of Jesus Christ is to present to his church. So the church mentioned here is the woman in Revelation 12, which is also the 11th hour church in Matthew 20. Okay, Brother Pansing? And it says here that the exact time of her history. What history? What history of the woman? History of the 11th hour church. The history mentioned here is pointing to the two wings, the two periods of history. Alright? So the church here is the 11th hour church, the woman in Revelation 12, and so that the exact time of her history, the history being mentioned here, is actually pointing to the two wings of great flying eagle, which is represented by two great periods of time also. By periods. So that is the point that we need to understand. But take note, the wings here, let us put here, Brother Bern, that is wings of a flying eagle. Because even to the slightest description, to every detail, there's a meaning with that. There's even a great truth with that. Because God could have put it that way, that in the vision that the woman, he has wings of like a dove, right? Wings of like what kind of birds? But he purposed it that the wings should be of great eagle. Now, as you've noticed that since the wings, it is being represented by two great periods of the church history. And there is no such wing that the left wing is bigger than the right wing. You could not. Maybe there are some birds that have impaired wings, but they could not fly properly. It would be out of balance if one wing is not proportion or equal to the other wing. So they must be also equal. Meaning to say that the two wings of great eagle, the two wings of great eagle, since it is pointing to the church history by periods, mean to say they must also be equal number of years. So it is connected here that the two wings of the great eagle, since they are equal, the wings are equal, it is connected to the parable here that there must be two equal parts, the nighttime and the daytime. So na-connect yun siya, di ba? It is really closely connected. So do you have any question, clarification before we're going to proceed? Huh? Okay. So now let us proceed. Now let us go to why is it that the two wings here, it is represented by the great eagle. So let us read here in Shepherd's Rod Volume 2, page 196.
So is our page 196. A flying eagle is a king of birds, as the lion is king of beasts, which is a sign of victory. thus making a perfect symbol. And the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. He represents the period in the time of the harvest. The last period is symbolized by the flying eagle to denote that the church that shall be translated.
So it says here that why is it that it is being used the flying eagle, because the just like the lion is the king of the beast, but king of the beast, that the beast that they're crawling only in the ground, right? But at this time, the representation of let us say this church in the last generation of men is that they are being represented by also the flying eagle, which is the king of the birds. So why is it eagle? Because if you're going to, there's a video there in YouTube. I think I forgot that. There's the eagle, before he's going to fly soar high, he must that eagle must pass a stage by which he's going to break her wings. He's going to like a solitary place, and then he's going to bump her wings to break the bones, and then good. And then at the time when there's new wings that had been given to that eagle, he could be able to fly high enough. But at this time, why is it that flying eagle? Because it is represented by the church by which they will be translated to heaven. Because the wings, the eagle, they could fly the heavens. I think the eagles could even fly above the, what do you call that in our study about the science, the clouds that could be found in the lowest atmosphere. I think it's the, how do you call that cloud? No, nimbus is the dark clouds that could produce rain, right? Because the birds, the flying eagle, they could fly very high compared to other birds. So it is represented by the church also that will be translated to heaven without even tasting death. Now, but now let us go back to the two wings of great eagle. So we need to understand that the woman in Revelation 12, although it is also pointing to the living church, the God's ever living church all throughout the ages, but it is more particularly pointing to the living saints, the last church, because of the description. Now it says here that the mere fact that the woman had been given two wings of great eagle indicates that the particular object in view in Revelation 12 is pointing to the last generation of men. That is, we could read that also in early writings, page 143, the one that is being capitalized by Ellen G. White. There, the last, or Ellen G. White termed it the last generation of the church on earth. So now, let us now connect here in track number 5, page 32. This is pointing to, since the book of Revelation is being included, so let us go to Revelation chapter 1, verse 1, and also Revelation 4, verse 1.
Track number 5, page 32. The statements which must shortly come to pass, Revelation 1 verse 1. And I will show the things which must be hereafter, Revelation 4 verse 1. Go to see that the revelation is given with one particular object in view of showing the things lying not behind but ahead of John's time, with reference being made only incidentally to the past, in order to lay the necessary foundation upon which to build the future.
Alright, so we connect here in Revelation 1 verse 1 and also Revelation 4 verse 1, because the vision of John, right? The vision of John, the term used here is hereafter. So let us say, for example, that that vision by John, it was given, I think, somewhere in 98 or 96 AD, at the end of the first century. So the vision of John, it is pointing to hereafter. So it could not be on during the first century, but that hereafter, according to the shepherd's rod, it must be from the time of the vision pointing forward to 1844. So whatever vision of John being that he saw, it must be pointing to 1844 onwards, including Revelation 6 verse 6 and also Revelation 12. The woman in Revelation 12. And since the woman in Revelation 12 and Revelation 6 verse 6, it is pointing forward to 1844 onwards. It doesn't say right immediately in 1844, but onwards in 1844. It could not be before 1844. Meaning to say that the parable in Matthew 20, since it is being attached here in Revelation 6 verse 6 and Revelation 12, so Matthew 20 also, it's pointing to 1844 onwards. In-attachment siya. Did we get the point, Sister Virgie? Let us look at the chart in Matthew 20 again. So meaning to say that this chart actually no longer the groundworks, right? Because the groundwork, we already understood the groundwork. But the particular